welcome to the March meeting of the Commission on Aging. Thanks for everybody being here. Welcome to Jamie Stevenson, our first selectman. Thanks for coming. And to Tony Hamicki and Millie Milan, who will be speaking for us. Thanks so much for coming.
Pleasure.
To continue our discussion from the February meeting on tax relief for seniors and disabled veterans. So our first topic on the agenda is the discussion of the February minutes. Does anybody have any questions, changes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Appreciate it. And we'll now turn to Beth for our Mather Center report.
Okay, and in the interest of being succinct, because we have a great presentation, I'm just going to tell you what we've already done in March that was new. We had the Stretch Lab of New Canaan come in to do stretching for folks before or after exercise. 38 people participated in that. There were 2 therapists that were here. It was a new endeavor, something that got offered to us, and people truly appreciated it. And it might be something that we have as a regular program on a monthly basis, partnering with them. Also, Monitor My Health, a pre-diabetic for type 2 diabetes, to prevent type 2 diabetes. This program came to us in February. It's a tuition-based program that costs $675 per participant. It was a grant program. We have 22 people attending right now free of charge. For the next 16 weeks, the doctor's here. He's an endocrinologist. They get to do the program with the doctor. He's from the National Health Institute. There is, just so because we're on 79, there's this week and next week. You can still get in, and he's not limiting the size of the class. And after that, it's going to be closed. And then for 6 months, you participate with various surveys, and he's going to come to the center intermittently, same time on a Friday between 10:30 and 11:30 to check people's progress. Just one caveat, you will be weighed.
Well, I'll skip that one.
Yeah, but he's absolutely dynamic. He's lovely, and it was wonderful. And my colleague in Westport was the one that actually recommended that he use Darien as a site, knowing that it would be successful and that we would be able to fulfill his grant needs as well. So we're very happy about that program. St. Patrick's Day, we were to capacity for lunch again. The luncheons are getting to be a little bit of a competitive issue for us, but because we're really stopping about at 106. I will say that Chris has been an incredible asset. She'll be celebrating her year with us in this April, actually April 30th. And the food quality, the offerings have been outstanding. So it's a wonderful problem to have. But people are in competition to get into those lunches now. And we've been trying to do an entertainment with a major lunch at least once a month for 10 months of the year at this point. So it's been wonderful, and it's brought a lot of new people into the center as regular users too. We also had the Center for Vein Restoration presentation yesterday, very well attended. They're going to come back and actually do 25-minute appointments so that people can actually, they do that little Doppler and they check your veins for absolutely for free, and refer people back to their physicians so that it's not that they would be having the benefit of doing the vein restoration. However, people have to go to their doctor so that if there is a problem, they'll earmark the problem and you go back to your physician and you talk with the physician about it. And we had very successfully, and I love when this happens, we're not close to the high school as we were before where we were in Edgerton, but we had a wonderful intergenerational program with a core group from the high school, 22 kids and almost 22 seniors, 21, we were shy one, and they had an incredible conversational program that started off just by telling stories, and that it always goes into just wonderful conversation. They came from 11:15 until 11:45 till their bus had to take them back. So I'd love, if there could be 2 periods, we're talking about that with the social worker because it's so well received and it's so good for, you hear both groups buzzing after it. So it was really, really a lovely program. And looking forward to April, I encourage everybody to get an April newsletter. It's packed full of things. I'll let Gina talk about what we're doing in collaboration with each other. But one more thing for March. We're having a drumming circle. This person is a music therapist that's coming in. It's all about stress relief. but it's also about the aspect of drumming itself as, kind of an orientation to get ourselves spiritually centered as well. There's 20 people. I think we have 4 more spaces that are going to do it. It also may become a regular program if there's a way that we can work it out. Very dynamic individual who's a music therapist who's doing this, and it really there's information on how this really does help with blood pressure and also with anxiety and grief. So we're trying new things as well. So we're always open to that kind of stuff. So.
Great. Thanks, Beth. Any questions for Beth? Hearing none, we'll move on to Allie for our Human Services report.
Good morning. Try to keep it quick or keep it brief. Energy assistance actually was extended, the deadline for oil heated homes, because we had a mild winter, so that means that DSS had extra money, believe it or not. So that's nice for our clients. The renters rebate program begins April 1st. We'll start taking applications through September 30th. And I have the details on here of what the requirements are, but basically it's someone age 65 or older or someone who's receiving Social Security disability. The income limit is $36,000 for a single person and $43,900 for a married couple. And one thing that I am concerned and wanted to bring to your attention is that the governor is proposing to have an asset limit for the Medicare Savings Program. If you remember, about 1.5 years ago, it was a big controversy when he wanted to cut the income limit basically in half. Well, we're one of 9 states that do not have an asset limit. This could be devastating for our seniors. The asset limit would be $7,560 for a single person, and for a couple it'd be $11,340. That's not much, especially for homeowners who might want to, they rely on that savings for potential, improvements or maintenance on their homes. So this could have a huge impact on the state. And I think they said it would save $25.6 million a year, which really isn't that much for what the impact it can have on our seniors. Last time people were saying they're not going to take their medications, they're not going to go to the doctor, all these kinds of things, which is then going to impact Medicare and Medicaid price, cost for the state. So I am going to reach out to the legislatures and voice our concerns, and anyone else, I can forward the information to you if you'd like to do that as well.
Yeah, please forward it to all of us.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all.
That's it? Okay, great. Any questions for Allie? Okay. Hearing none, great. Then I'm going to turn it back over to Tony and Millie. And why don't you guys come on up? That would be great. It'll make it easier for all of us to coordinate with you. Relating to our continuing discussion on property tax relief programs, and they have passed out 2-sided Office of Policy and Management. And can you tell people where they might find this on the web? I'd rather not put a 46-page document into our minutes.
I think we're going to focus on a highlight of that, that document. The Office of Policy and Management does have a Q&A on their state website. It was really easy for us to print out.
Perfect.
Detail-oriented. Every several years, OPM sends this out for assessors and collectors, so that's one of the pass-outs that we have for you.
Perfect.
And to try to continue our effort to be more transparent on property tax relief, I've also passed out a copy of how to receive the assessor's information online. It's somewhat understated, and I don't know how to present it enough, but you can go into the Darien website and within the Department and Services, click on the taxes and assessment, and property record card online will focus on each and every one of your parcels and everyone in town. I mention that because we did just implement the townwide 5-year reval cycle, and we've done a little analysis since our last meeting. I've done a random check on the 130 to 150 homeowners that are getting tax relief. The redistribution of the property tax seems nominal. It doesn't seem like it's going to have an effect on the formula driven of the credit program, as well as the option for senior citizens to receive the town benefit, which is quite generous. We left the last meeting wondering if the state was going to fund that $56,000 to $60,000 grant amount, and there's so much moving and shaking up in Hartford that through the Government Finance Officers Association and CCM, we haven't identified if that funding is going to be coming back to us. But it doesn't negate the fact that it is budgeted. The town has put that $60,000 or $70,000 aside, assuming the state again won't fund that amount. So that's good news, that the circuit breaker program is intact. We do have an option for people to defer their property taxes if their income for the deferral program for a married couple is under $72,900. you can defer the taxes. There's also an application process that has to come to our office between February and May 15th. I think, what do we have, 10, 15 properties, homeowners that are deferring their taxes. It means a lien does get filed with the town clerk. That's significant. Most people don't want that to encroach on, especially when things are coming through with home equity loans or any reverse mortgages, which we'll touch on with the reason for the pass out anyway. So the deferral program is available. Right now, the cap, and I can't say this enough, I'd like to open up and close with this. For the credit circuit breaker program, a married couple's income would have to be under $52,900, and for a single person, it's under $45,000. Again, the program is from February to May 15th. We have 130 to 150 property owners on this program, and we need their 1099 Social Security statement. And now that federal tax forms are being filed properly, we would need the front page of the federal tax form in the bottom right corner where it shows the adjusted gross. We add the adjusted gross with the 1099 Social Security, and that's how we get that threshold.
And
So the amount is adjusted gross income, not the gross?
That's right.
Okay.
Adjusted gross, that's important.
And this is-
Can't say it enough. We're trying to bring more people into the program. I think it's quite generous, especially with the town local option program that we've worked on over and over again for many years.
And because this is a credit, not a deferral, there's no lien on the house.
That's correct.
Okay, and so hence the popularity of it. So it's 10 times the size, roughly,
Exactly.
of our deferral program.
So we welcome people to give our office a call, go onto the website. It's easily available, and we'd like to get more people actively engaged into the program. And with reference to the Office of Policy Management pass-out, there was a question came up over the last couple of years on the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust. It's referenced on page 10, and we did give a one-page pass-out for those who didn't have the full 30, 40-page pass-out. And just for explanation purposes, the state of Connecticut has tried to clarify that a revocable trust, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, can be changed, can be modified, even with a life use provision. We cannot give circuit breaker credit benefits to properties that have a revocable trust. If it's an irrevocable trust, we can. I think we had 5 to 9 deeds that we cross-referenced on it, and 1 or 2 people were impacted by this. So it's not a big deal, I guess, unless you are looking at going into a trust situation.
Yeah, and I think that the key point is exactly that. A revocable trust, obviously by its term, is changeable, okay? And so your concerns are, okay, we're not going to be made aware necessarily of those changes, and that could impact, and so necessarily that's a huge problem. Irrevocable trusts, meanwhile, are of course sticky for the following reason. They are in fact irrevocable. You cannot change them. So if in fact you remarry or you want to make a change for a kid or a grandchild, too late, too bad, except for very rare circumstances, but something called a testamentary or inter vivos power of appointment. Be interesting to see how that affects you guys. Shouldn't, because it's after death. But nevertheless, the irrevocable trusts, I can see why this exception is created for irrevocable trusts, but not for revocable.
It's been a gray zone, and I think for OPM to put this in a text format was helpful for most of all of us statewide.
And the good news for anybody who's in a revocable trust, I'm not sure if you catch you there, the beautiful thing about a revocable trust is if you get caught up in something like this, you can always pull it out. Mm-hmm. And that is the nature of a revocable trust, is you can revoke the trust, you can put property in or out of it. So whoever get caught up in this statewide could undo it.
Gotcha. Good. The other, I guess, assignment that you had for me, if I could say it that way, was to try to compare other towns on what changes they might have in place. We've done a random sample of Fairfield County. I'm a secretary of the Fairfield County Assessors Association. We've reached out a little bit to the Western Council of Governments on a variety of different levels, and we are hosting a meeting, I think it's next week, here in this room, I think, anyway. And so I don't have a lot of detail. Most assessors are a little bit distracted by the revaluation process, the updates of the grand lists. But if I have changes that we can do to that annual or biannual review that we do with the circuit breaker program and the deferral program, Millie and I will share that with you, probably through a computer medium, an exchange of email.
Yeah,
For you,
that'd be
Joe, if
great.
that's okay.
And have you guys back at a time where we can make that change. In other words, that's the biggest question, is timing on this. Obviously, you're already in the program this year. You're in the February to May time period, so that credit amount isn't going to change. But to the extent we can bring it up, and of course the classic reason which we've talked about in this group quite a bit is keeping seniors in their home benefits the town of Darien.
Agreed.
No question about that. We can't prove it objectively yet, but we certainly can see it subjectively just simply on how much it costs to have a new child in the school system. And every time a senior moves, almost invariably, it is a family moving into that senior's house with children, and many of whom may use the public schools as opposed to private schools. So we know how much we can save by keeping our seniors in their homes.
And we welcome Mary's email. I think it's usually the second or third week of September, maybe goes into October, just for us to look over our shoulders and say we need to revisit the program anyway. So thank you, Mary. You do pay attention, and
Right.
Millie and I do jump right on it when Mary triggers that. So it's working, I think, real well in the last couple of years.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Questions for Tony and Millie?
Suggestion. We have some really great programs, but they're kind of hidden away. And I'm wondering, for example, would some kind of public exposure or forum be helpful? For example, Darien Times, for example, an article or two on this whole question. With the consolidation of those papers, now there's one paper that reaches the whole town. Or maybe even a forum at the Mathers Center, or sponsored at home in Darien or at the Darien Library. Because again, not just for the seniors, but for those who look after seniors, in other words, our older children, if you will, so they can get a feeling for this. There's great material here, but it's kind of hidden away. I mean, you know it, and most of the people on the commission know it, but for the general public, it's a real asset. But I'm thinking it needs some kind of a public exposure. It's just a thought.
We've had those discussions years back with the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, and constantly promoting and trying to expose that. I think I'll work with Ally and Beth, and we'll put our heads together. Other than your newsletter, we have done our best, to the point of just a couple of years ago, we went to the Register of Voters, and we followed the birth dates of the voters in town, because it was the only database where we could see where people were turning into their mid-60s that are approaching that 65-year-old threshold. We haven't done that in about 2 years, maybe 3, and I think it's timely. So that alone,
And at home in Darien as well. How
At
many
home in
members
Darien.
are at home in Darien
Yeah.
now?
2,500.
2,500 people.
so it's time for us to do another townwide mailing, probably to just explain the program to those people that are in their mid-60s that just might be on the fringe of tax relief. So good idea. Yeah, I'll talk to Ally and Beth about it a little bit more.
And the timing for that would probably be, if you wanted to do a seminar, probably in the fall or winter, I imagine, with the applications due the following February, correct?
Yeah.
And raise the flag for me.
Right. Other questions for Tony or Millie? Hearing none, thank you both so much for coming the last 2 months. We appreciate it.
I think we're going to sit and watch the rest of your meeting.
Fantastic, we love it. Thanks for staying. Awesome. Cool. Old business. Let me first turn it over to Gina on old business, because At Home in Darien is always here. And give us an update.
A couple of things we have going on. Tuesday night, the 26th of this month, we are collaborating with the Darien High School to bring seniors to their spring production. It's a musical called Chicago, and so if people want to come, they're welcome to let us know, and we can provide transportation as well. But it's a great opportunity to go during a dress rehearsal, so there's not the crowds, and you'll have a great seat and get to see the show. And then we also are hosting a Dementia Friends session. We're doing 2 of them. One is the same night, Tuesday the 26th at 7 p.m. at the library, and there's also one Monday, April 8th at the Senior Center at 12:30. And it's basically an information session, and we are teaching, just giving information about dementia and how people can help in small ways so that Darien can become a more dementia-friendly community. We're also having an anniversary this year, so on May 10th, We are having an event, a celebration at the Country Club of Darien, and we welcome everybody to come. There's information on our website about attending. And then what Beth mentioned before was on Tuesday, the 3rd of April, we are doing... Right?
30th.
The 30th, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's okay.
The 30th, yes. We are doing a lunch at noon, and At Home in Darien is sponsoring that, and we have a great program at 12:30. It's Healthy Living for Your Brain, presented by Shannon Jordan, who's fantastic. She's the Southwest Regional Alzheimer's Association Director of the Connecticut chapter, and she will be speaking about that, and that's a free-to-attend event and lunch. So, we're excited.
Thanks, Gina. Other old business, one piece of old business is that we have seen the old town hall homes have been demolished. Drive by on the post roads, they're making progress. So per our conversation last month, I'm going to ask Joe Warren to come here at the May or June meetings to give us an update as to where they are, because that'll give them enough time to start the process and hopefully give us some better update. So I'll be in touch with him. Other old business. Peter, any updates on the state?
You know, we could meet every day.
Sure.
There was a meeting in town, Cherry Woods, it was, I thought, quite well attended. The focus, of course, were on the legislative issues surrounding the school, the school districting. I met with Matt Blumenthal last week, and I had 3 things on my agenda to meet with him, again, referencing AARP-led activities. The first, and I'll just read it, is, you know, in the governor's proposal, they want to repeal the tax exemptions to Social Security asset and annuity income. And we think that would be a real hurtful thing to seniors. And so, again, raising that level of awareness. The second, which is what Callie was already talking about, is the proposal to put some kind of a qualifier on Medicare. And yeah, we know we're in a minority of the states, but we also know it's very, very important, and it has a strong impact on seniors and their savings and how they approach their health. And the third was the paid leave program. And again, that's still going through lots and lots of iterations, and there's lots of concerns about how extensive it should be, what the definition should be. But again, stay tuned. Again, we think it's important that we have a paid leave program in this state, like Massachusetts does, like New York does, like other states do. But it's far from being defined. So again, write your legislators, call them, go up and see them. I think they were all surprised, and I think in a good way, by how many people showed up on the school issues. And that's what it takes. It takes to go up there, sit in the gallery, write some testimony, call your legislator, leave a voicemail, because if they get enough of them, and we at AARP, we have 600,000 members in this state, we know that we can swing some things. And again, it's so important.
Other big legislation going on, and we as a commission have chosen not to take a position on this, is the aid and dying legislation. That's now before committee, and the question will it get out of committee, et cetera. So if you have a strong feeling one way or another, and aid and dying is how the proponents call it, assisted suicide is how the cons call it. So whichever way you fall on that, it would also be important to make your thoughts known on that issue. Okay.
And that's an issue AARP has chosen not to take a stand on because of the religious implications.
Absolutely. And what's interesting, the most interesting part of that, and I'll leave this one alone, is that the Medical Association, for the first time, has not taken a con. Okay, so that's kind of opened up all of a sudden. Previously, it was religious organizations and the doctors saying no, 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 so it didn't get anywhere. So now the question is, with the doctors also being standoff, like our commission and the AARP, how does that change things? Okay.
A couple of other things to mention. Coming up, the Darien Library has a program on Tuesday, April the 16th, on the Merritt Parkway, the history and the future of a national treasure. I think lots of us don't even call it the Merritt Parkway anymore. We call it Route 15, right? But it's an incredible story. So again, a good opportunity. And again, I just want to reference the Darien Historical Society and its program focusing on World War I here in Darien, and that goes through July 21st. The next event would be Thursday, April the 4th, mobilizing artists during the Great Depression and during the Great War. In other words, and this town had a number of artists and the poster work they did, and they have an incredible array of posters. So again, very interesting programs, ongoing displays. So I would encourage people to take a look at it.
Absolutely. The Merritt Parkway is always fascinating to me because for Ron and I who own Model A's, thinking about why does the Merritt Parkway have a stop and go onto the Merritt Parkway? Well, it was built in the 30s.
Yeah.
So as a result, you had Model A's rolling along at 40 miles an hour. You could see them coming, as opposed to doing 80 and trying to jump on the Merritt Parkway. So it's a very interesting historical thing, and you see these bridges which they would never build today. In other words, these beautiful bridges with all of the iconography. Sorry, TV 79, I'll get that right someday. But at the end of the day, it's amazing. I love the Merritt. It's a great place to drive. Very cool, as long as you can get on it. Other old business. Hearing none. New business. Only new business on my side is I will be away in April. So Jennifer, can you chair the meeting in April? Thank you. So Jennifer will be chairing the meeting in April. And I will see you guys in May. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Second. All in favor? I appreciate that. And I will see you in May. And the rest of you guys check out with Jennifer in April.